This past weekend was Little by Little Homeschool Conference, and it was just absolutely amazing. I will say it time and time again. Homeschool moms are just my favorite. There is just such a beauty and a kindness and just an authenticity and a willingness to just let's go deep. And we just have this common bond. The Holy Spirit already binds us together, and we have this bond automatically as Christians. And then when we homeschool, you meet another homeschool mom who's also a believer. You're like, yes, you are my people. You might do things differently with homeschool, but still, we have that. So it was a wonderful day. To be honest, I'm pretty wiped out at this point. My house is still a little bit of a wreck. We just kind of came home and dumped things. And yesterday was still kind of picking up the pieces, and people were still in town. Today this was my goal. As I was doing the final couple weeks before the conference, I just said to myself, I just want a day where I can just do what I want to do, sit hopefully outside and read, drink a cup of coffee, and do that for as long as I want to do it. And then maybe go for just a nice, quiet, kind of enjoyable walk, or not, or just to relax and be. So that is my goal today. I'm kind of a person who just likes to do things, so we'll see how long that lasts. Although on the alternate plan is I can do some gardening. To me, that's relaxing. I feel like it just kind of adds to me, just getting down in the dirt. And I've got a lot of annuals that I need to pull and some perennials to check on. But then I also did pick up a bunch of bulbs. So I want to get those planted. Let's say probably like about 125 of them. And if you've ever seen my house and outside of it, the garden area is not very big, but I like to pack a punch. So that's kind of my goal for today. But I thank you for your attendance. If you came to the conference, I thank you for your prayers and your interest in it. And it was a really good day. So thank you. But today we are going to talk about you and your days. I gave you a little bit of an example of what my day is going to be like today, but that's not a normal kind of day. That's like I need to lower my cortisol and I just need to relax and refresh myself. And then tomorrow we'll get back into a new swing of things. But what should your days look like as a homeschool mom? Let's tackle that subject right now. Welcome to Little by Little Homeschool Podcast, where we talk anything and everything homeschool and all that encompasses the homeschool lifestyle. I'm your host, Leigh Nguyen. I'm a mom who never intended to homeschool, and suddenly I am here, 14 years later, with 2 homeschool graduates and 1 more to go. No matter where you are in your homeschool journey, Little by Little Homeschool seeks to empower and encourage you to carry out this amazing calling of home educating and discipling your children. It's not always easy, but I'm here to walk alongside you because I promise that these years are worth all of your effort. Grab that load of laundry that needs folded, settle in at a kitchen sink to wash those dishes, or tie up those walking sneakers, and let's get into today's topic. If we're honest with ourselves, in our hearts, as homeschool moms, we really want the idyllic, perfect day. You know, that one that just has gentle, beautiful background music as we just kind of glide along through our day. I don't know if we get that from movies, from music, from social media. We just have this idea of what our days really should be like. And then let's just enter, I might be a little old saying this, it might just kind of show my age, but enter record scratch. I'm not even going to try to make that noise because I'll probably blow your eardrums. But enter record scratch. No, that's not the way that normal days go. That's not reality. I do think we should desire peace in our days. That is a good thing. But if there is a dream that you have for the day that's not realistic, it's going to lead you to anger. It's going to lead you to frustration, to impatience, to a negative attitude. So really we need to balance maybe what an ideal kind of day and this going through the meadow and just gently skipping and all this stuff. You turn around and the house is on fire, the meadow's on fire. And you get a bunch of kids following along or saying, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, and he took my toy and all this kind of stuff. So what is reality for a homeschool mom? First thing I want to talk about here is that some seasons of your life won't always have serene kind of days, peaceful, gentle, serene days. But on the other side of that, some seasons of your life will rarely have serene days. Think about when you had all little kids. I'm going to assume that you at least have some that would be school-aged children. But if you had a bunch of little children who weren't even school-aged children, a lot of those days weren't very serene because they just had needs and they didn't know how to wait quite yet. Maybe the older ones did that are a couple of years older, but the newborns and the babies, they don't know how to wait for their needs to be met yet. And there's just going to be some seasons where maybe you'll have a bunch of boys that are just raising a ruckus and everything. And so to have a day of just serenity and peace might happen if dad says, hey, I'll take the kids for the day. We're going to go on an adventure. Then you might have a serene and peaceful day, but that's not really a normal homeschool mom day. So some seasons, you're not always going to have these serene and quiet, peaceful days. And then in some seasons, it's going to rarely happen. But it's not, I don't think there's anything wrong in desiring peaceful days. When there is peaceful days, it adds to our hearts. It adds to our children's hearts. That peace just, the peace that passes all understanding can only come from God, and it can only come from leaning into His word and His truth and the sanctification work that He wants to do in you. Like I mentioned earlier, if you have an ideal for the day that just is impossible for the season of life, it is going to lead you to, I said, anger, frustration, impatience, negativity. And those are not things that are going to add to a good day. Those are not things that are honoring of God, that's going to give Him glory through your day. So we kind of have to balance that with a desire for a good day. The best kind of day that we can have in this season of life, we have to match it with reality and what is going on in your life, the ages of your kids, and the discipleship and the discipline and just all the things that is so intense right now for you. In your days, you're also going to see a lot of the same things over and over again. Yep, you get up in the morning and what does everybody want? They want breakfast. They're going to want some lunch. They're going to want some dinner. They're going to need some clean clothing. They're going to maybe need the sheets changed on their bed. They're going to need to have day number 22 of potty training. They're going to want to learn how to ride a bike. They're going to be arguing over toys. They're going to want to go outside and jump in the mud puddles. And just all of these things, just day after day, and it's over and over again. And I think it's really helpful to embrace creating and carrying through with a routine for your homeschool, but also for your day in general. So the homeschool is a segment of your day. It could be something that is segmented throughout your day. It can be something that is maybe purposeful, and you're sitting down and you're working on curriculum and you have specific lessons that you want to do, or it could be a mix of that along with just a free-floating kind of day and learning on the go and allowing kids just to kind of learn in their own type of way. And so I think that it's really important to embrace the creating and carrying through with a routine. Who comes up with that routine? You do. But don't think, I know some of you are pushing back right now in your mind. You're like, I don't want a routine. Now, I didn't say a schedule, a routine. You can also say rhythm. It can be kind of the same thing. I mean, rhythm sounds a little bit maybe more Charlotte Mason, right? But don't think of it, though, as monotony. Some of you are thinking, I don't want to think like we are going to get up and this is the process we're going to follow throughout the day. We're all going to get up and everybody's starving right away. So the most important thing is everybody hits the bathroom and we get some breakfast. Or maybe your rhythm might be they're not really hungry first thing in the morning. They like to just sit in their beds and read for a little while, and you can get up quietly and get a couple of things done maybe and read your Bible, or that might be what your rhythm is for your season of life. But don't think of it as monotony. But on the flip side, we also have to be really careful not to worship that to-do list or to worship that rhythm or that routine where we just kind of, I have a tendency to do this too. I've got a checklist. I've got things that I need to do, and it just feels really good to just plow through the day and just get those things off. And just think of, I think of as it's starting to get colder here and we're preparing for, I'm like, okay, in a little while here, in a month or so, 2 at the most, it's going to snow. You think of the snow plows and they just kind of go through and they just kind of like throw the snow, just throwing things off to the side. And you're just like, no, we're not going to plow through with our to-do list like that and just kind of discard our children, discard their feelings and the things that are going on. And that's not important. So there is a balancing of not thinking of it as monotony, but then also not worshiping that to-do list. And that is the end all be all. And that rhythm and everything is the end all be all. There has to be flexibility in that as well. For me, I do enjoy a routine, a rhythm, and that seems to change. It was different in the summer than it is in the fall. And now for me, I'm kind of getting into a new rhythm and a new routine now that this conference is done that's not taking up so many hours of my days and my weeks. So I'm having to come up with a new rhythm. And so it's important to remember that our rhythm doesn't get written in stone. We can have an idea, and your life might be a little different than me. You've started the homeschool year. And so me, I'm like, okay, we got to start the homeschool year, and then I got to change it up again when this conference is over. It might just be kind of the same for you all the way through the fall, all the way up through Christmas, and maybe even into the rest of the homeschool year as we get into 2026. But it's not monotony. And it's also something that we need to be okay with, just kind of doing the same things over and over again. Children really thrive in a stable environment. They thrive in knowing what that rhythm and the routine is. So if you're somebody that pushes against having a rhythm, a routine, a kind of standard to the day, your kids might actually really thrive in that. And that's why we do it. We don't always do the things that we want to do. We don't always get to run our household in the way that we want to. We have to stop and we have to look at our kids, look at them individually, look at the season of life, look at our family culture, what are our goals right now, and adjust our rhythms and our routines to that. For me, I also really like a rhythm and a routine when it comes to chores, and I use the Tidy Home, that program that I created and then have now offered to you as well. I enjoy it because it is adjustable. So this isn't necessarily just the homeschool, but as far as your day as a homeschool mom, there are chores. Now, yes, there are things that need to happen every single day. I can't adjust and say, well, I'm just tired today. And I just want this day to be where I'm just being here. And I had a dog and I'm like, I don't really feel like feeding him. Well, that's not realistic. That's something that has to happen every single day. But when it comes to all those extra chores, today I just want to be, I don't want to do any cleaning. I don't want to, and that's okay. In the Tidy Home, I worked at making it so that it is adjustable to you because weeks are going to be different. And so for me, leading up to the conference, there were some chores on my chore rotation. I was like, I just don't have time for this. And that is okay. I don't have time to go and clean my basement steps. We go up and down all the time, and it's actually a cute little area. I made it cute on a really small budget. And I'm like, you know what? It really doesn't matter that there's dust and that there's some cobwebs and stuff like that. That can happen after the conference. But I'm like, oh, bathrooms, they still need to be kind of clean. So it's looking at like what's going on right now too. So that's why I do enjoy the Tidy Home. I still use that. And you can get more information in the show notes for that. Now, another thing that is very common for homeschool moms in our days is there is a lot of bouncing around to meet the needs of your children, to meet some of the wants of your children, to listen to them, their stories or their concerns or their heartache or just the excitement that they have about something, and also bouncing around to get your homeschool done. When you have multiple children that you're homeschooling, and if maybe you're trying to get it done in a specific time block, then there is a lot of bouncing. You do a math lesson with this one, and you do a math lesson with that one, and a math lesson with this one. And I highly recommend family learning as much as possible for things like history and for science and geography and art and music and all of those things, so that really it's only the math and the language arts. And then you spend just that time bouncing around because they might be at different levels. And if any of your kids are at the same level, do them together if it comes to math and to language arts. It's okay if one is older than the other one and they're just maybe not as high of a level as math as maybe they, in air quotes, should be. It's okay for them to do it with their younger sibling. That is okay. But then we get into the weeds of, well, that kind of hurts their feelings. They don't like that. Well, then you have to that's a whole nother episode right there. But there's a lot of bouncing around to meet those needs, the wants, to listen to our children, and to get the homeschool done. That's completely normal. And it actually helps to make your day go along and to actually get the things done that you want to do. If you're not bouncing around and you're like, well, I can't jump from this to this. We have to just do this child and get all their stuff done. You're really missing an opportunity to be able to kind of condense things and be able to get those things done, like the math lessons and the language arts lessons, that you can, guess what, move on with the day. There's also going to be a lot of interruptions to your day. I can recall specifically from many years thinking to myself, I don't know that I have the capacity to concentrate on anything for more than a couple minutes at a time. And honestly was starting to get concerned about my brain. Can I even I used to be able to sit and study for hours at a time, and with kids and all the bouncing around and all of the interruptions, I didn't feel like I could do that very well. And I think that my brain adjusted to that and was able to then quickly jump from one thing to the next thing. If that's how you're feeling right now, let me assure you, you will get to the other side of that, because I can sit and I can concentrate on things for a couple of hours if I need to. Probably like 5-10 years ago, I don't know that I could have done that, but I think my brain adapted so that, again, I was able to be quick on my feet and jump and go and do this. And it didn't take me long to be able to process what needed to happen and jump into a situation and be able to reconcile whatever it is that's going on. But you will get to the point where you could sit and kind of enjoy things. I mean, at that point, I don't think I could sit and watch a movie without falling asleep. But this way, well, it's still questionable. But the last thing I want to mention here is that in your day, it does not need to be chaotic unless that is what you want. All right? If you want chaos and your day is chaos, then don't complain. That's because if that's what you want, then that's what you're achieving. But for myself and probably a lot of you that are listening, I personally couldn't function outside of those short seasons or emergency situations. I couldn't function for long outside of chaos, where the day was just, we had no rhythm and just things were just all over the place and crazy and kids were just kind of wild. Again, there are sometimes seasons where it's going to be like that a little bit. You kind of feel like you are just in survival mode. It might be because of an emergency, or it might be because of a new baby that you've had, or it could be that you moved. And there are seasons that are going to be like that. And the goal, though, is to get out of that chaos and to create some type of rhythm. So say you did just move. It's going to be a little chaotic, but let's get the house unpacked and let's get things set up and let's start to figure out how we can function well in this house. Where are we going to put things and how we can get things done, and we be able to actually have a more cohesive and a day that's has more of a rhythm to it. I think that many of us do crave that, do crave there to be stability and peace and at least some level of calmness. I mean, our kids are going to go wild and they're going to have a good time, and that's kind of their goal of the day, and that's okay. But if you want more order in your home, it starts with you. It starts with the mom. It starts with you creating some type of rhythm, some type of routine, and then actually carrying through with it. You get to set the tone of the house. You set the temperature of the home, not just on the dial on the wall as far as the heat or the air conditioning, but just how does the atmosphere of your home feel? Is there peace in the house? It starts and it ends with you. And it is completely possible to achieve a family culture and a home life that you guys are all going to thrive in. So I hope that this kind of gave you a little bit of an insight, instead of thinking everybody else's days is just all perfect and just wonderful and against, dancing and gliding through a meadow. No, there's reality check. This is what all of us encounter throughout a day. If you're looking for some type of routine, a rhythm, some predictability to your home as far as chores and knowing that things are, maybe it's a little bit chaotic where things are and keeping up with all the cleaning and everything. That's where your tidy home will come in and assist you. And you'll be able to create the system that's going to work for you right now in this season of life. The system I have probably won't work for you right now because I'm in a different season of life. And I have different goals than you do. And that's perfectly fine. That's actually the way that it should be. So if you'd like more information, I want you to head over to littlebylittlehomeschool.com/tidyhome. And the link is also in the show notes. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode and a little bit of a glimpse into what I believe is what your days look like, and probably all the other homeschool moms who listen as well. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If it was just what you needed to hear, would you do me a favor and share it with a friend? And if you would like to connect more, social media links and more are in the show notes just for you. I promise to see you back here real soon.